Hello, everyone. My name is Erin Gallagher, and I am a program manager for This Is My Brave. And today we are joining you with our special feature called Brave Beyond the Stage. During Brave Beyond the Stage, we invite former cast members, people from our Brave family, Brave Alum, who have performed on our stage and are now, moving on with their lives. And we check in with them to see what's been going on since they performed on our stage, what life has been like. And so today we have two performers with us. We have Sidney Wollmuth here with us. Say hi, Sidney. And Carmine Gothard. Hi, Carmine. So I'm going to give each of you a chance just to do a quick introduction. Tell us just a little about yourself, where you are right now in your life. Very quick. You don't have to take too long, and we'll get into all the details after your introduction. So Sidney, do you want to get us started?
Yeah, sure. I'm Sidney. I'm 21. I performed in the DC show, but now I'm living in North Carolina for school. Yeah.
Great. And do you remember which show that was? You said the DC show, and there was several. Do you remember like the season and the year?
2016, right? Yeah, 2016.
Okay, so you guys were in the same show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. Okay, Carmine, how about you?
Hi, I'm Carmine. I was also in the 2016 DC show with Sidney. I'm currently back in Northern Virginia, just kind of hanging out. So, yeah.
Great. So we invited the two of you, especially today, because this month we are presenting our first ever national teen show. So we actually worked to get a group of teenagers together specifically. This is kind of a tag on to our recent edition, which is our high school edition. So previously we did community shows, and we would put out a call to all the community, and people of all ages would respond and come out for the show, including the two of you. You both were in high school, right, when you participated?
Yeah.
And then we really realized that we needed to target our messaging to high schoolers, especially. We know that high schoolers need to hear today. We've heard from them in focus groups that they want to hear from kids their own age who have faced a challenge and have found a way to overcome it, because they're looking for hope. They want to feel less alone. So we started our high school edition, and then we took it to the next level and did a national teen show. And our hope was that this month we would have had those teens here in the DC area performing on a stage live, just the way you all did. But of course, 2020 kind of threw a wrench, a stick in our wheel, and that made us have to reconsider and do a virtual show. So that virtual show now will air this month, at the end of the month, on May 23rd, which is a Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And so just wanted to get a sense from you all, having participated as a teen. First, can you tell me how you first heard about This Is My Brave? Sidney, you can kick us off with that.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, it was my sophomore year of high school. I was struggling with severe depression, and recovery process.
Wait, Sidney.
Short story competition.
Wait, you got a little pixelated there for a second. So we got as far as it was high school, and you were struggling with depression, and there was something about a poetry contest, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my mom, I was in like the recovery process of my depression, and my mom came across this story competition from This Is My Brave. And the deadline was like the next day, so I didn't have time to write a story. But then I, went on the This Is My Brave website, and I, discovered their mission, and it really interested me. So then I decided to audition for the show.
Okay, so it was something that your mom came across.
Yeah, I think it was like or share.
Okay, we broke up again.
Oh, my internet.
Okay,
My
you think she
internet is
saw it?
bad. Yeah, I think my mom saw it either on Facebook or like the local newspaper or something.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. So, so you submitted a poem, right?
Yeah, so when I auditioned for the show, I submitted a poem. Yeah.
Cool. And how about you, Carmen? How did you hear about This Is My Brave?
So just like Sydney, my mom came across it, and she kind of brought it home. She's like, this sounds like a really good idea. I had been struggling with depression and PTSD for a few years, and I was kind of just starting to talk about it openly. So it definitely sounded cool, and I submitted a short essay. Yeah.
And how old were you? What grade were you at that time?
I believe that was my senior year of high school.
Okay. So yours was an essay, Sidney, yours was a poem, which fits right into our wheelhouse because we take original music, we take personal essay, spoken word poetry. Some people have done even stand-up comedy. We've had a mime on our stage. Some people have done dance. So there's a lot of ways to tell your story. It doesn't always literally have to be just like a traditional story, so that's great. You guys fit perfectly. So then you auditioned for the show. Was there any part of you was like, great, I did that, and so maybe they won't even pick me? Did you think like that?
Yeah.
I mean, some people say like, oh, that's enough, I tried out for the show and that was good. But then you got selected, and what were your feelings about? I mean, that's kind of a vulnerable, I would think, of all the people who are ready to tell their stories, the most vulnerable would be the youngest among us. That might feel really scary. Is that how you're feeling, or did you have different ideas?
Yeah.
Sidney.
Yeah, I was really kind of scared to share my story because first of all, I felt like I was burdening my family. Just like when I was severely depressed, it was like really hard to even talk to them about how I was feeling because I felt like I was hurting them. So then I felt, yeah, so then it was hard because I felt like I was like hurting my story, even though it's kind of the opposite. I like at first I was like scared there, wondering like, why do you want to keep talking about this? Like, don't you like you're healing now? Like, don't you want to just like put in the past? Of course, that was just my mind being like that, and they ended up being really supportive of me, and it ended up being a great experience.
Yeah. Carmen, how about you? I mean, were you super energized? Like, this is it, this is my moment? Or were you thinking, oh no, now I have to stand on stage and say it?
I was terrified. I'm not really good at speaking publicly. I'm pretty sure the year before I like barely passed my public speaking class. So
oh wow.
I was definitely nervous about like meeting the other cast members. I was kind of already expecting to be on the younger side, so I was a little nervous that like, like who would really care about what I have to say. But it ended up not being what happened, so it was great.
So what was it like meeting the other cast members?
So I think the first time I met anyone was at the promo video shoot. So I met Sidney right off the bat, which was awesome. And then I gradually met everyone else, and they were so cool. Now we're all like Facebook friends and follow each other on Instagram and stuff. So
yeah,
it was good. It was definitely nice having Sidney there. I was not very adult, so I think they were
Yeah.
talking about ATMs or something, and Sidney and I are just sitting at the end of the table eating cookies. It was great.
That's cool. Well, that's good. At least you had, yeah, that would, there are some shows where maybe the community show where there is just one teen who's represented. So I never thought of that would be maybe a target or a plan for a producer to think about, as if one teen's included, maybe having another one there for some support. But how are your interactions with the cast, Sidney? Did you, like, you met the other adults, and how did that feel?
Yeah, because
You keep
it was
breaking up, Sidney. Yeah, there you go.
I
Okay.
know
You're back.
it was a little intimidating because I was only 16 at the time, and I was like, oh, these are all like adults, like. But then I remember we were at one of our rehearsals. We were all eating dinner together. Jen had catered from somewhere, and I was just talking to one of the cast members, Heather, about her tattoo, and it was just like a little bonding experience. And then all the other adults started talking about getting tattoos, and I was like, I want a tattoo now.
Did you ever get a tattoo?
I do have a tattoo.
All right. A legacy of This Is My Brave. Do you think that can you directly attribute your tattoo to that conversation? Oh, the suspense is killing us. You locked up again. Sidney.
I'm so sorry. My internet is terrible.
That's okay.
But yeah, I think I realized, that adults with jobs can still get tattoos. So
yeah. Yeah. It's true. I think the world is kind of becoming more tattoo friendly for sure. So how about, like, after you performed on the stage, like, what was that like? I mean, you did it, and then both of you got up the next day and went to school. Like, how'd that work? Did you feel like, what was that experience like? Go ahead, Carmen.
It was definitely weird, like a good weird, if that makes sense. I think I had a lot of friends from school actually come to the show.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it wasn't like, how do I word this? I was definitely really nervous about like going to school the next day, and just kind of like, I felt really open and vulnerable, but it was totally fine. But it was definitely like a fantastic experience.
So what was the response from your friends?
They loved it. They were all really proud of me, which was a really nice feeling.
Yeah, that's neat. Like, prior to that, did you feel like around them that you like were carrying something that, I mean, was there a definite, like, before This Is My Brave, I felt this way, and after I felt this way? Was there any kind of distinct pre-post feelings that you can point to?
I think before This Is My Brave, kind of like my trusted circle of people that knew about my PTSD and stuff was really, really small. And there were people that knew but didn't like know details or anything. And then after This Is My Brave, having more people know was kind of the new normal. And it kind of like also encouraged me to open up my circle a little bit more.
Yeah. And was that a positive experience, opening up your circle?
Yeah, it was.
Great.
Like, and Sidney, what about your experience? Did you have friends come to the show?
Yeah, I had only told like two of my really close friends about about my depression and stuff. So they were the only two that came to the show. But then after the show itself, I started to become more open.
We lost you for a sec. After the show, you started to tell more people? I'm going to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, after the show itself, I started to be a little bit more open about mental illness, and I started to talk to more people about it. And so I think it was the show that encouraged me to do that.
Yeah. And so what was that experience like, just bringing up in casual conversation? Like, did that?
It wasn't exactly that way. It was more like my friends were also struggling with similar mental illnesses. And since I'd been through it before, I I felt like I knew how to support them.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be there for them. And the more open I was about my experiences, I felt like
Oh, okay. You broke up again. But the more open you were about your experiences, the more.
Yeah. Here, can I move to a different room? It might
Sure,
be
let's give that a go.
better internet. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't get the complete home tour, I guess.
I know, I'm really so sad.
So how about Carmen, when you were talking more, did speaking on This Is My Brave stage lead you to talk more openly afterwards, or did that just get put into a little vault and you just moved on the same way you were working before?
It was definitely, I just talked about it a lot more at first, and then a little bit after a while I kind of put everything back into a vault.
Yeah.
But I'm working on being more open again.
Yeah. Well, why are you working on being more open? I mean, what was the benefit to you, or why is that a goal now?
Just because I guess I realized having everything super locked up it's a pretty lonely feeling, especially with the pandemic and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to make an effort to get in touch, be open about what's going on and stuff.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. That's really good. I mean, that's some self-care, right? You recognize that you tried it both ways. I shared, I didn't share. Seems like what you're saying is you feel better when you're sharing more. Maybe not open book, but certainly not completely locked up and sealed, never to be mentioned again. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, Sidney, are you there? Still kind of locked up over there. Oh, I see you. There you are. Okay. So on the scale of 0 to 10, 10 is an open book, 0 is the completely locked up in a vault. Where are you now with your openness towards those around you?
I would say I'm actually probably an 8, because I feel like the show actually encouraged me to be more bubbly and social overall. I mean, I don't know if it was just the show itself, but maybe just my growth.
Your growth.
Yeah. So annoying. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So I feel like if anyone brings up mental illness and stuff, I'm willing to talk about it. And I share with probably way too many people that I take antidepressants.
Okay.
But,
you know what? I think that some people, when they hear that, will say, oh my gosh, I can't believe she just said that. But then I think it does change their mind just ever so slightly. It moves them a little further along. Wow, I like Sidney. She's a nice person. She's smart. She's capable. She's accomplishing things. And she tells me she's taking antidepressants. Wow, I think that really, you can kind of represent, I have a friend who's really high on the disclosure and she'll say some of the things that she's thinking, and I'll think, oh, I can't believe she just said that out loud. And then I think, you know what? It's great that she said that out loud, because I would never say something like that out loud and it would torture me, right? Like, instead, she just put it out there. We had a rich conversation about it. I think it's better that way, don't you think?
I mean, it definitely is better for me. Like, I feel more free.
Great. That's awesome. So we have this group of teens that's getting ready to be on stage at the end of the month. I mentioned that at the beginning, on May 23rd at 8 p.m. So hope you tune in, see what they're up to. But what would be your advice to them going into the show? Like, obviously they're not going to get the opportunity like you did to be on stage. So that jittery moment where, the theater's hushed, the lights on you, the microphone's right there, and it's your time to just, you've got your 7 minutes now to say your piece. They're not going to have that exact experience, but they will have this moment where their story is put out there for others to see. So do you have any advice for them as they move into that experience? Carmen, you want to start?
Oh, yeah. I want it to be good advice. Hang on.
Okay. Yeah, I take your time. We definitely want good advice.
I think like my biggest advice, or like what I felt like I really learned through the experience, is like, yes, it's gonna feel vulnerable and open and a little nerve-wracking, but it's so worth it. Like, to be able to hear your story and like hear, like, it just makes, it's kind of a really validating feeling. Like, everything you've been through, it matters and people are listening. And so at the end of the day, it's all going to be worth all the nerve wracking and like late night editing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. I'm going to come back to one thing you said there, but Sidney, what would be your advice?
I think my advice would be that to remember that your story is not a burden, and that you can actually help a lot of people by sharing it. And you're not gonna, even if it does hurt your loved ones a bit to like hear you in pain, like, just think of like all the people you're helping and like inspiring by sharing your story. I
love that. That's amazing. I'm so glad you didn't break up during that one, because that was good advice. Carmen, you said it matters. So, I mean, when you're going through something hard, maybe somebody might be thinking, like, how can this matter? Like, how can this be anything but awful? Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I know from like personal experience, like, I did a lot of like comparing to other situations. I'm like, well, this person's going through this, so does this thing really matter? Like, is it a big deal? But it is, and it does matter. And I think definitely like realizing that it matters for yourself is really important. Yeah, so that's one thing that This Is My Brave gave me.
Yeah. So can you just break into that a little bit more? Like, why does it matter for you to like be able to tell this story and say your piece and be open with your friends? Why does that matter for you?
Sorry.
I know this is hard, but well, we could just, if you have a second, I'm just curious, like, what if, like, think about it like hypothetically, like, what if you never took an opportunity to craft your story, and you never stood on a stage and were, supported in that process and encouraged to be brave? Like, what if that never happened? Would that path be different than this path that you're now on?
I definitely think so. I think before This Is My Brave, I was kind of definitely in a vault type coping skill. And then after This Is My Brave, I was able to be more open and my PTSD is from an assault, and because I was open, I was able to report and stuff like that. And I don't think that would have happened if I'd had that moment of openness.
Yeah. So it took you, I mean, would you say you're more healed and more healthy because of the experience?
I think it opened the door to start working on it.
Yeah. What about you, Sidney? Did telling your story matter? Is that an important part of who you are today?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Carmen that it like opens the door to a lot of things. Um, like, I think it just started me on a path of like acceptance and like, you know, being able to love myself more, like even, you know, mental illness and all. And it also gave me more confidence in like, you know, speaking out about things that matter to me. Especially things that aren't commonly talked about, like, you know, in the public sphere.
Yeah. You know, I think it's nobody's going to walk through this life and not have a struggle, right? So I think the frustration for teens is there's this perception, especially today, when everybody's kind of curating their world, and they are putting out into the world that they've got it all together, and you know, the right friend group, the right whatever, you know, they are doing everything's going great. But I mean, nobody's going to get through this world, this life, without some sort of struggle. And so the stinky thing is that you got to do it first. But the upshot is that you built some skills, and it kind of encouraged you to grow. And so it kind of made you more prepared for, you know, real life, right? I think. I mean, I don't want to be like toxically, positive here. Like, I don't want to dismiss the struggle, but I just think you have to buckle down and figure out how to get through it. And that's kind of important for getting through the rest of life, right? No. All right. Thanks for agreeing with me. Well, so, I am so glad to have had this conversation with you today, and I really appreciate the time that you've spent, and the encouragement that you've been able to give our teen performers. And so just want to remind everybody again that we do have that national teen show. So these, by the way, are teens not just where Carmine and Sidney were both from the DC area, and we've had a show in the Hershey area, and we had another DC area teen show. This show is going to feature teens from the West Coast, from, you know, central area, from the East Coast, North, South. We've got kids from all over, and they're ready to tell us their stories, and they're sharing those on May 23rd. So I hope you all will plan on joining us and share with your friends and family, because this is important work, and they are doing some heavy lifting for us by sharing their stories and letting others know that they are not alone, and that there's hope. And by sharing their stories, encouraging them to open up and share their stories, they could be moving on a path to doing great things like Carmine and Sidney are now. So Carmine and Sidney, thank you so much for reflecting with me today and taking the time to have this conversation. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you all soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.